This course is brought to you by Appy Pie as part of our Academy series.
So now it's time to build our final solution. And this is the fun part. But before we get started, it's really important that you've done everything we talked about in the previous videos. It's important that you talk to potential customers and found out what their pains and frustrations are. And then it's also very important that you've created an MVP that validated your assumption that this problem is a problem that people are willing to pay for a solution, and you're able to provide that solution. So if you've done all this, then you're ready to build your final product. But let's say you skip the MVP. Now, the problem with doing that is you might spend a lot of time and money building this great final solution, and you'll realize that people aren't willing to pay for it. And that's not a fun place to be at all. So make sure you've interviewed potential customers and you've validated your assumptions using an MVP. If you've done those two things, now you're ready to build your final solution. Now, in this video, it's hard to give advice that covers all types of businesses because every business can be so unique. But there are two very important points that you can use no matter what your business is. And the first is to keep talking to your customers. So don't stop listening to what your customers have to say. If possible, keep scheduling customer interviews. So often people will do these customer interviews in the beginning, and then they think, okay, now I know what my customer wants. I can keep providing them value. But the problem is you may know what your customers wanted at the beginning, but you don't know what your customers want in future versions of your product. So you want to keep that dialogue between you and the customer open and never assume that you know what your customer wants. And often this is a hard thing to do because we assume that, okay, I talked to my customer, they told me they have this pain, therefore they probably are suffering this too. But you really can't assume anything unless you hear it directly from your customers. And the next point is to release often. And you don't want to wait until your product is perfect. And the reason for this is by releasing your product or service early, you will get important feedback from your customers. And you can implement that feedback in new releases and updates. So as you can see, these go hand in hand. You want to release your products often, and you also want to keep hearing what your customers have to say and make changes to your product or service based on the feedback that you're getting directly from your customers.